What's up, guys? It's your host here, Spartanic Arts DxD, back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Neglected and Became OP, Part 8. Yes, I know, I finally have returned for the final time. I am going to be uploading daily. I'm putting that on God right now. So thank you so much for the support, okay? I'm coming back. I'm coming back for some willpower, all right? I'm coming back with things like that. Your boy's hyped up now. I'm starting to get back into training now. I'm waking up. I'm coming back. So, without any further ado, let's go and thank my balance breakers. Rob the King, Lachlan Yates, Atomic Warlord 58, Ant Lewis, Night Ammo, Refeek 135, Asimodus, Slow, Keep Saying 21, Luis Bermudez, $5 Sake Sake, VR with hashtag Dude347, Night Ammo, Ziki 2000, Seth Voiles, The PS Gamer, XRX108, Legendary Saiyan 98, Mazaku, Dr. MLG underscore is the bomb, Grip Fire Shot Gamer, That Round Guy, Zero Fusion, Source Spawner, and Chaotic Raven. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. I also have another series in mind, but before I start into part 8, I want to ask, what is the next series you guys want? Leave some stories down below if you want me to read something specific. Okay, another Issei portray. I don't really care what it is at this point. I just would like to know what you guys want. So without further ado, go subscribe to my second channel, Ampopowski, and Fallen DxD. Ampopowski is about to hit 41,000 subscribers, and I'm very proud to say that. That'll probably be the first channel to get to 50k, and I want to get this one to 50k as well, so hit that sub button. Without further ado, let's get into part 8. Let's try to go for 500 likes. If you would like to follow along, we're basically right at the beginning of chapter 6 Luckily. So, luckily before it could hit them, Issei stepped away and took hold of the flames before making them disappear. While he may not be at the best of terms with them at the moment, Issei still cared about them in his own little way, and didn't wish any harm to befall them. Issei-san, thank you very much, stuttered Azia, who was still a little shaken up. Irina just looked at him in gratitude. Issei, however, didn't respond, as he had his eyes planted firmly on the couch on the far end of the room. A youth who was wearing a robe on top of a familiar school uniform, and a black-haired youth who was wearing a Chinese outfit on top of the same school uniform were gazing at us. The one in the Chinese outfit is tapping his spear on his shoulder, while sitting down, and then said to them, "It's been a while, Red Dragon Emperor and Governor Azazel. The last time we met was Hyoudou. I did my greetings right away. It's the return of Durandal from the other day," spoke Ko in a laid-back manner. Regardless of the fact that he was surrounded by high-level enemies, Issei didn't respond to him, merely sizing him up. He noticed that his eye, which Issei was sure he destroyed, was restored to normal, something to ponder about. The match against BL the other day was magnificent. The intense fistfight between two people wearing a balance breaker armor. It was the fight in which people who love a battle would be ecstatic. So I will give my praise, Gremory team. Congratulations on being the #1 youth devil team. They are good servants, Rias Gremory. It truly is frightening, applauds Ko. Should I be honored by being praised by one of the leaders of a terrorist group? I do feel complicated. How are you doing, Ko? Rias put on a sarcastic smile, while being on maximum alert. Yeah, I'm doing alright. It was only a short time when I saw you back in Kyoto, so this might be our first meeting. I was astonished at the sudden summoning. It was certainly a stimulating appearance. Don't say that, it embarrasses me even remembering about it, Rias protests embarrassingly while covering herself up. So what was the reason for you to make this field in another dimension and transport us? It might be really good for nothing plot, I guess, questioned Azazel sarcastically. Ko looked behind them. He was looking at Orphis. Yeah, Orphis, I was wondering where you went with Volley. But for you to be here, I certainly didn't appreciate it. Or anticipate it, states Ko. Issei immediately went on high alert. He tensed his body and flared his senses in the Kanjuba hockey to the max for any hint of immediate danger. While he initially started it as a joke, Issei really did come to see Orphis as a little sister figure. Maybe it was the dragon part of him, but he was drawn to her like a moth to a flame. He enjoyed doting on her and spoiling her very much. She was pure and innocent. Even though she was expressionless most of the time, he enjoyed trying to get a reaction out of her. Therefore, it would be a cold day in hell before he let these egotistical fuckers try anything with her. So, while outwardly he was still the same, inwardly he was ready to spring into action at the drop of a hat. Kuroka then stood in front of Orphis. We're also shocked, Naya. I thought you'd head to where Volley is, she said. We sent a different team over there. They're probably battling them now, was Keokeo's reply. Issei got the basic premise of the situation by inferring from context as well as the chat he had with Azazel. So he knew what was going on in a nutshell. The others weren't as lucky, as they looked confused to what was happening, while the others were suspicious of the situation. Issei got the basic premise of it, of course. LeFay, the cutie she is, suddenly raised her hand. She had a cough and explained to them joyfully. At the same time, Grey Wolf appeared and her shadow glared at Keokeo. Well, this started from two things. The first is that Orphis-sama took great interest in the Red Dragon Emperor, the Oppai Dragon son. Volley-sama found out about it, so he offered the meeting through the two connections. She said, whilst putting up a single finger. Issei winced internally in anguish while the pierce of his mind from the overly sensitive Welsh dragon. She put up the second fingernail as she continued her explanation. The second reason is that Volley-sama got a hold of some information which said someone is after Orphis-sama from the shadows. To find out about it, we decide to lure them out. If we are lucky, we can fight directly with people who get in our team's way by using Orphis-sama as bait. So it means that, the face shyly pointed out at Keokeo, those people over there are after Orphis-sama and us. So we thought that we'll take action if Volley-sama takes Orphis out of headquarters, and we can crush them when they come after us. But there was no reason for having Orphis-sama be in danger, so Volley-sama took Byoko-sama, who disguised himself as fake Orphis-sama, and we took the real Orphis-sama to the Red Dragon Emperor's house. She was no reason for having... She finished. The rest of the group were shocked. To think that they would turn on their leader, who happens to be the strongest in the world, it was inconceivable. Keokeo just nodded his head in agreement. It's Volley we are talking about. I knew that he won't just go around taking Orphis with him, so we knew that we would be using Orphis as bait to lure us out. But we also knew that Volley won't be using Orphis just as bait. We all knew that Orphis was interested in this generation's Sekiru and Harakuru changes, so we thought that maybe something like this would happen, so we split among the two groups. One group went after Volley and Georg, and I went after the Red Dragon Emperor, and just as we thought, Orphis was here, so we ended up meeting each other like this, he explains calmly. Keokeo is after me? Orphis asked while twitching her neck. Issei suppressed the urge to glomp her for such a cute action. Unfortunately, they were in a tense situation. He made sure to add pampering her when they get home on this to-do list. Yeah, Orphis. We need Orphis, but we determined that we don't need the current you, says Keokeo cryptically. I do not understand. I would not lose to Keokeo, she replies. That would be the case. You are too powerful. To tell the truth, I don't know what would happen if I took you head on. So let's fight a bit, said Keokeo, as he stood up and spun his spear skillfully. Pin! The tip of his spear opened, and really bright light formed. It was an intense light which gave devils chills, like always. To devils, it was the ultimate holy spear, the most dangerous weapons of their existence. Keokeo disappeared. He was fast. He disappeared without making even the slightest movement. Only Azazel, Orphis, and Issei were able to track his movement. Issei was easily targeting Orphis, and his protective instincts were screaming at him to defend her. But he knew that nothing Keokeo could do with his spear would harm her. He also knew that Keokeo had to have known this, so it begged the question of why he was doing it. He was way too calm. He was in control of the situation. Issei didn't like that one bit. He must have had some trump card if he was willing to be this open about his schemes. Issei decided that instead of unnecessarily jumping to her aid, he would keep his senses about him and move when she really was in danger. Stab! When he reappeared, Keokeo's spear was thrust deeply into Orphis' stomach, a critical blow. If it was a devil, that stab would have killed it right away. Keokeo shouts while putting power into the spear he holds. Shine! The spear which destroyed gods! At the same time he thrust the spear, enormous amounts of light were emitted. This is bad, Nea LeFay. When Kuroka said that, both she and LeFay started to mumble something. Then the mist of darkness was created around the group. It is the mist which greatly reduces the amount of light. It's very dense, so please don't breathe it in. It's poisonous to our body, but we won't able to reduce the light of the Holy Spirit unless we do something like this, shouted LeFay. Also, it's a double layer done by me and LeFay. added Kuroka. The moment LeFay and Kuroka gave an explanation like that, the torrents of the enormous light created from the Holy Spirit expanded throughout the hotel. Even with the powerful barrier erected by Kuroka and LeFay, the devils could feel the slight burn on their skin from the potent holy light. As the light began to fade away, they all saw Keokeo standing in front of Orphis with his spear plunged directly into her stomach. However, there was no blood flowing from the wound. Orphis didn't even change her emotions expression. As Keokeo retracted his spear, the wound in her stomach rapidly closed till there isn't even a blemish on her pearlescent skin. It was obvious she didn't take any damage whatsoever. Issei let out a slight sigh. Even though he knew this would happen, he was still happy to see her unharmed. An instant kill attack, if it was a devil. I even put a lot of power in it, so even other beings would be vaporized. It would have taken half of the power of the gods, who are weak against this spear, Keokeo said, as he took and then looks at Issei. Did you see that, Red Dragon Emperor? This is Orphis. You cannot give a critical wound, even if the ultimate Longinus. The damage went, though, but to take down the power of infinite, it's not possible even with this spear, he said. Matter of faculty, Issei was really starting to get pissed off with this guy who was explaining everything to him like he was a 5-year-old. Sure, he may have been ignorant to the supernatural world for the most part, but now he's more caught up thanks to his training. He decided not to say anything though and let Keokeo continue his cheesy supervillain monologue while he would look for any openings to exploit. She won't even fight back against me, who just attacked her. The reason is simple. That's because she can kill me anytime she wants to. That's why she won't do it. Even if I do something like this, she's not interested in anything besides Great Red, basically. Out of the top 5 world's strongest, not including Great Red, the strongest one is Orphis, and there's a huge gap between her and the second strongest where you could say that she is in totally different level. This is what the embodiment of infinite means, continues Keokeo as he taps his spear on his shoulder. Then, what seems like a transport magic circle is created below Kuroka and LeFay. Kuroka says it with a smile. We have connected it. While you were doing a sideshow, let's do it, LeFay. It's about time we have to call him. When the Ashgrave Fenrir positioned its the magic circle made the intense glow and reacted. When the light stopped, instead of Fenrir, there was something else standing there instead. A Bishonen with dark silver hair and blue eyes decked out in what looked like a casual bike gear. It was the Volley Lucifer. Issei doesn't even turn to acknowledge his appearance as his eyes are focused solely on the Gregorg, who has yet to make any moves. Good work, Kuroka, LeFay. It's been a while since we meet face to face, Keokeo, who's confronting Volley, smirks at his appearance. Volley, this is a shocking summoning. LeFay, then let's says it while drawing circle in the air with her rod. I have called Volley-sama. Here switching his location with Fenrir-chan, Volley continues. I made Fenrir fight the other hero faction group with Byoko and the others in my place. I had predicted that Keokeo would be coming here, so I made sure I had insurance. Now let's finish this. But coming here only with Grog, such a bold hero, Keokeo then smirks, rather than being bold. I thought that it would be enough with me and just Grog. Looks like you are confident, Keokeo. Does it mean that you have a so-called Dragon Eater as your trump card? I'm guessing it's the Sacred Gear Possessor who specializes in dragon slaying, or a new Longinus Possessor. Questioned Volley. At hearing this, Issei felt a chill go down his spine. For some reason, the term Dragon Eater filled with a sense of dread. Keokeo shook his head to the sides, hearing Volley's words. No, that's not it, Volley. Dragon Eater is the codename we gave to a being which existed already. We didn't create it. It was already created. God from the Bible created that. Hearing that, the youth wearing a robe Gregor speaks. Is it all right, Keokeo? Yeah, it's about time, Gorg. Volley is here. Orphis is here. Red Dragon Emperor is here. The infinite dragon god and the 2 heavenly dragons, a combination we can't ask for more. Let's call it. The time for an opening the jar from hell has come, said Keokeo. Roger that. So the time to devour the infinite has come then, replied Gregor, who proceeded to draw a massive magic circle in the middle of the lobby. An intense vibration shook the entire hotel. A very ominous aura is emitted from the magic circle. A cold air, which gave Issei chills, permeated the atmosphere. An intense pressure he's never felt before was coming from the magic circle. A pressure which freezes both his body and soul. He felt like a frog which is being glared at by a snake, and he didn't like it one bit. This presence is "An overwhelming evil intent only directed at a dragon," said Drake, as he also seemed affected as his voice was trembling. "Drake is frightened?" thought Issei incuriously. To hear the voice of the mighty red dragon filled with fear was incomprehensible. What kind of being is in there which can frighten a heavenly dragon, which is the embodiment of power and domination? Something ominous started rising from the magic circle. First a head, then a torso, black wings, a cross. Someone was impaled into the cross. Resonating tools were intensely binding its body. There were so many restraining tools placed all over the body. It was there in ill-omened letters written on the tools. There were ones which were placed on its eyes, and there were tears of blood dripping from them. The moment its whole body appeared from the magic circle, Issei's breath stopped because there was a bizarre existence. It had lower body of a snake. No, there were scales on it. It was more in line with the appearance like of the Asian dragon. The upper body was that of a fallen angel, and the lower body of an Asian dragon. On both hands, tail, and all over its body, there were countless nails driven through it. Even on its black wings, just looking at its appearance tells him how painful it is. A crucifixion done to a criminal who has done something very serious. It looks like the personification of anger from the one who judged it. Ooh, a creepy voice emitted from the creature's mouth echoes through the lobby. From its mouth covered in fangs, there was blood and saliva coming out as well. Pain, jealousy, suffering, resentment, a sound which is mixed of all kinds of negative emotions. One can tell its being was just judged by someone harbored with great anger towards it. There was a black aura and mist coming out of the fallen dragon creature, which was spreading throughout the lobby. Uncomfortable sensations enveloped Issei's body, making him feel as though his body was being pierced by burning needles. Azazel's eyes changed and his expression changed to that of anger. This guy, to bring such a thing! "So you unsealed the cactus!" he stuttered out in fear and rage. Ko took a step forward and started to speak as if he was reading a poem. "It is said that this is the poison of God. It says is the evil intention of God, a forbidden being which made people in Eden eat the fruit of knowledge. The first crime which was judged by the dead God from the Bible and still continues to be in effect. Dragon Eater, Samiel, the angel which received the curse of God who hated dragons and snakes. A dragon, yes, a dragon whose existence was eliminated from the record." Shock, fear, and apprehension spread throughout the lobby at the reveal of the identity of the creature. Issei gritted his teeth in anger at the sight of a creature that the smug expression of the face of Ko. He wanted nothing more to kick his teeth in right now, but he knew that he had to tread carefully, as he stood before the ultimate dragon slayer, a being whose existence can strike fear into the most powerful of dragons. Was it the Olympian god who was in charge of the world of the dead thinking? Perhaps, Azazel yells out. Ko smiles at Sensei's deduction. "Yes, we negotiated with Hades Dono. I was allowed to summon him while having many layers of restriction on it. That bastard. Didn't he like the fact about Zeus going into cooperation with other factions?" Azazel spits it out with hatred. Issei has never seen him this angry before. It seemed as though the skeleton god lent his hand to the hero faction. No matter how one thinks about it, it is a serious issue will bring ruckus to the alliance. He seems like he hates devils and fallen angels, but to help a terrorist seems to be counterproductive, like cutting off your nose just to spite your face. Ko spins around with his holy spear and then points it at the group. "Roar, I will hold them off while you try to get Samuel under control," Ko said. "Can you take the two heavenly dragons, the governor of fallen angels, and the Gremory team by yourself?" Gregor questioned worriedly. "I will make it happen. If I can't do something as simple as this, then I basically have no right to hold this spear," Ko declared arrogantly as his spear started to emit a tense light. "Balance breaker." After that, a silent declaration. The intense light surrounded Ko before it disperses, showing him what appears to be 7 battling ball-sized spheres orbiting his body. It was unnervingly silent. Balance breaker. Up to this point, Issei has seen many balance breakers, but none ever this simple and silent. Even Ko's spear admitted the same as before. For the suddenly most powerful sacred gear, it was deeply upsetting for it to be this simple. Ko takes a step forward at the same time. The 7 orbs around him move as well. "This is my true Long Giant's balance breaker. Polar Knight Longinus Canavate." Though it's still incomplete, says KO. Azazel snouts in disbelief at what he's seeing. A subspecies, the balance breaker which the previous true Longinus used, and now the true Longinus get a dumb along. From the name of it, are you implying that you are the ideal ruler? Damn it! Even I do not know those 7 orbs are. Azazel sneered at the smirking KO. I actually want to call myself the ideal ruler of heaven. That sounds cooler, right? Replies the Chinese youth with a smug expression on his face. Volley steps up next to Issei, ready to battle, and decided to give him a tip about their enemy. Careful. That balance breaker has the ability called 7 treasures, and even has 7 sacred gear abilities. So there are abilities for each orb, he says. Issei's eyes widen at that little piece of information. KO was a tricky opponent with just that spear in hand. Now add his 7 unknown abilities, each at top tier level ones. It made an annoying opponent. Annoying but not unbeatable. If there was one thing that Issei had learned during this time in the supernatural world, it's that no enemy is unbeatable. He just needed to figure out the right communications that will allow him to grasp victory. He had to stop himself from chuckling at his thoughts. Him, the Opai Baka, trying to outwit a high-class supernatural opponent. A few months ago, it would have been unthinkable, but now it was necessary for his survival. He would not let this arrogant little prick have his way. So, like that Azazel Dono, Volley, and the Red Dragon Emperor, the curse he has will devour and kill dragons. He can kill dragons for certain. It's not on the same level as the Dragon Slayer Holy Swords. You can't even compare them. Ascalon is like a toothpick to him. Issei Hyoudou, stated KO smugly. Issei was really using all of his training to control himself from lunging at the bastard in front of him. He quickly remembered that they were here for Orpheus, which meant, as his eyes widened in realization, KO snapped his fingers. Devour her, he commanded. All they felt was unbelievable displacement at the wind before hearing the sounds of what sounded like gulping. Turning around, they were met by the sight of a black block of some kind in place of where Orpheus previously stood. Following the trail of the black block, they found a black tentacle attached in which led all the way to the mouth of Samil, more specifically his tongue. Issei realized at this point that he was literally devouring Orpheus. Issei silently called up his sacred gear and quietly started boosting his power. He knew as a dragon he stood no chance against the ultimate Dragon Slayer. He wasn't aiming to defeat it though, as there was a much simpler way to deal with him. He just needed a few seconds to power to the appropriate level. Hyoudou, cut it! With Rias' command, Hyoudou created a holy demonic sword in his hand, went slashing towards the black block. But the black block devoured the holy demonic sword and made the blade of it disappear. Only half of the holy demonic sword was left in Hyoudou's hand. It erased the holy demonic sword? Can this black block erase and attack itself? Kiba created another demonic sword and slashed it towards the tentacle. Samuel's tongue, but it resulted as the same as before. When he went to cut it, the part of the blade which touched the block got erased, and the tip of the blade got split in two. Half dimension. When Volley made the wings of light appear, divine dividing his surroundings got wrapped, and all of the things got reduced to half while making the sound of the sacred gear at the same time. This is Volley's halving ability, but it didn't have any effect on the black block at Samil's tongue. Issei took the time to appreciate the fact that his rival was able to use this ability outside of his balance breaker. How's this then? Asked Volley as he shoots a wave of demonic from his hand, but it also got devoured by the black block as if it was nothing. It didn't even give any damage to the black block. It doesn't even have a scratch or dent on it. Then how about the power of destruction? Rias shoots, with enough demonic power to make things around her disappear, but it didn't do anything either. It's stubbornly hard, or does it have the power to avoid all attacks? That was a good attack by Volley, but unfortunately, for you, I'm feeling particularly vindictive today. Rorik, he ordered. Suddenly, one of the tentacles broke off from the main body and pierced Volley, causing him to scream out in pure agony. As the poison of the ultimate Dragon Slayer rashed his body, he collapsed in anguish. Volley! Azazel called out as he went to his side his former prodigy. Zenobia charged up her Durandal and brought down the force of the blade on the abomination in front of them, only to be stopped by the holy spear inches from her target. You do a good attack from the start again. Zenobia of the Durandal, but there's no second time, said Ko, amusement lacing his words. Issei wanted nothing more than to wipe the smugness of this motherfucker's face off. One of the 7 treasures, Kakada Ramata. After saying that, the orb disappears and break. The sound of something destroyed violently echoes throughout the lobby. When Issei looked around, he saw that ex-Durandal, still held by Zenobia, got destroyed. My ex-Durandal! Zenobia cried out. The Excalibur fragments that were rebundled into Durandal's teeth was broken. Luckily for them, though, they brought enough time for Issei to make a difference. Quadruple boost! Sounded the voice of his sacred gear, gathering the attention of the others in the room before Drake's voice rang out again. Ascalon! The famous dragon-slaying holy sword appeared in Issei's hand. Phew, I don't know what you think you're doing, Red Dragon Emperor, but it's futile. You cannot overcome the ultimate Dragon Slayer with that pitiful sword, Ko said with a mocking tone in his voice. In response, Issei just smirked before turning his attention towards George, who was sweating whilst trying to maintain the connection that allowed Samuel to be temporarily summoned from the cactus. Issei concentrated his power and unleashed it in a concentrated burst of Hakashi Haki. Right at him, Uri immediately felt the effects of the mind being overpowered and dominated by Issei as he stumbled groggily, barely maintaining his consciousness. Issei could have knocked him out with a more powerful blast, but didn't want to risk it affecting his allies as well. Seeing that George was all intents and purposes lost control of the magic circle and therefore stopped powering Samuel, Issei sped towards the black block, reinforcing both his arms and sword Byoshoku Haki before transferring the built-up power to Ascalon. Transfer! Using all of its might, Issei brought down the sword of block like a hammer of justice, where, to the shock of everyone, he sliced cleanly through the block, freeing Orphis. He scooped her in his arms before vanishing from the place and reappearing in his previous position. Rigor, losing the connection to Samuel due to whatever the Sekiro did to him, he had no choice but to send back the cactus before it turned out on them and killed everything. Ko just looked with disbelief as his master plan was foiled so effortlessly. Before he gritted his teeth, he seethed with anger. Issei just looked at him with an infernal calm smile. I don't know how many hours you spent on your knees choking on skeleton dick to get some meal, but it appears that your efforts are for nothing. Perhaps you should go home and reflect on your mistakes, advised Issei politely, with no hint of detention whatsoever, causing everyone to look at him indecorously. And how he was able to speak to such a derogatory word so politely and gently, yet to still come across as so condescending. Ko's first burned with anger and embarrassment at Issei's remark. George, get a hold of yourself. How did we get? Questioned Ko impatiently. George still looked groggy from his experience, but still had enough for to answer his leader. I would estimate it's just under a quarter of her power was taken, answered Rigor in dazed tone of voice. Ko made an unpleasant face at hearing that. He thought they would be able to get more, but the Red Dragon Emperor's surprise actions to incapacitate George and weaken Samuel at the same time wasn't something he had taken into consideration. Still, he would work with what he had, but not before punishing these devils for disparaging his plans. While that was going on, Issei gently set Orphis on feet on the ground before dusting off any specks of dirt managed to get on her. How are you feeling? Orphis Johnny questioned concernedly. Orphis didn't answer him straight away, as she was clenching and unclenching her fist with a quizzical expression. I feel weaker, she answered, with a tilt of her head. Issei just nodded his head, already expecting this to answer. It seems while her infinite powers prevented her death, it couldn't stop her power from being stolen. Luckily, he cut the line just time, or else they may have had a whole lot more to worry about. The Chaos Brigade. He gently patted her head to comfort her. Don't worry, Orphis-chan. I'll find a way to get your power back, he said with a gentle smile on his face as he looked at her, before he narrowed his eyes dangerously. But first, I have to take out the fucking trash. You! Ko seethed as he stared at Issei with nothing but contempt in his eyes. Again! You get in the way of my plans. I should have killed you when I had the chance, Ko gritted out. Ha! You say it like you could have actually done that. I would have liked to remind you the last time we met, you ran with your tail tucked between your legs, with only one functioning eye, thanks to me destroying the other one like a scared little bitch. Issei replied, with a pardonering smirk on his face. It made his companions look at him with a bit shocked, as the expression was so out of place his normally joyful face. You seem to pride yourself in your over-elaborate plans, but I've made it my calling in life thus far to fuck up and the stupid plans of an arrogant douchebags like you. It's kind of like a hidden talent of mine. He finished with the infuriating smirk on his face. The death glare that Kao sent the way of Issei and spewing with the amount of hatred that it contained. He had to work hard to get himself under control. At least he made silly mistake that would cost him, especially whilst being surrounded by so many high-level opponents. He regained his composure and directed his usual smirk at Issei. I admit, you caught me off guard. I didn't think you would target Gregor to weaken the connection. It was something I should have taken into consideration. Nevertheless, we got what we came for. It may have not have been as much as we were hoping for, but it will be sufficient enough for what we need. Issei just looked at him with a bland stare before sighing. Azia. Try to heal as much of the damage to Volley as you can. Kuroka, help to stabilize his internal energy to help him fight off the position till we get it sorted out. Both girls were a bit startled to be addressed as an intense situation. Kuroka, less so, but they both obeyed nonetheless as they got to work on Volley. They didn't even second guess to question him in his terms of taking orders. Such was commending presence of Issei currently had about him. Do you think honestly that I will allow you to heal while I'm standing here? You're stupider than I thought, Kao snorted diversely. Is it the That was as far as he got before Issei suddenly appeared before him, swinging Ascalon at his head. The attack caught Kao by surprise, and he had no choice but to abandon his attempt on Azia, and Kuroka just to avoid being decapitated. Issei didn't let up, though. He used a superior draconic body to bully Kao and keep his attention firmly on himself. Get Volley out of here! Azazel and I can handle Kao. Hyoudou, stay behind and keep an eye on Gregor. The rest of you get out of here. You aren't ready to handle this kind of opponent. Protect Azia and Kuroka as they carry out their tasks. Make sure to look after Orphis. There may have been more Chaos Brigade agents sulking around here that we don't know about, so keep your eyes peeled. Issei ordered with an authoritative tone of voice none of the girls ever heard from him before. The way he took control of the situation honestly excited them a little. They wanted to argue, but they knew that if they stayed, they would only get in the way. Kao saw them ready to escape in the room, and this was ready to intercept them, but was stopped when he felt the blistering heat searing his skin. Enkai, Issei called out as the blistering hot flames started to surround his body. Hibarashi! He finished as the pillar of fire exploded outwards from his body, forcing Kao to hastily dodge the conflagration lest he burnt to his crisp. The attack from Issei served its purpose. Kao was far too concerned with dodging that he completely disregarded the girls, who were able to make a hasty retreat out of the room, taking the injured Volley with them. After a few seconds, Issei let his attack causing the flames to vanish. He could now be seen standing in the middle of the room, directly in front of the only door, the same one it's just used to escape. Azazel and Kiba walked over there and stood on the other side of him, facing down their enemies. Kao looked like he swallowed something sour. Nothing seemed to be going his way today. The reason of that was standing right in front of him. Issei seemed to be taking some sick satisfaction in thwarting his plans, and Kao didn't like it one bit. He needed to reassert himself and regain control of the situation before things got out of control. He was contemplating whether or not to continue his attack. With the others gone, the Red Dragon Emperor and Governor wouldn't have to bother holding back when fighting in such a confined space. They were both far stronger than him in terms of pure power. He could probably handle them for a while, but the chance of them eventually wearing him down were far too high. It will only take one hit from either of them to deliberate him. He already got what he came for. Even though he didn't go his way as planned, it didn't serve any purpose to continue fighting here. He would make a strategic withdrawal and regroup. He would finish his business with him another day, when the odds were more in his favor. Gregor, where is the power of Orphis that was taken by Samil supposed to be transported? Kao questioned his lieutenant. I made the equation during the summoning, so it will be sent to the research facility of the main headquarters, Kao replied Gregor. I see. I will be returning first, then. KOKO announced, while in truth, he wanted to fight more, especially with these strong opponents. He knew that the odds didn't favor him at the moment. He never planned on killing any of them either, as that would be far too boring. He would regain his bearings and come up with a new plan. Yagor, call the groups of Grim Reapers. Hades is after the weakened Orphis. Also, the swapping transportation that was done by the guys from Volley team before. Can you try that? Can you transport me and swap them with Siegfried? I will leave the rest to you, Siegfried, KOKO inquired. I only saw it once, so I won't know if that will work smoothly, but I will also try it. Also, about the information I gained before, Egoic responded before he passes on the paper to KOKO with a serious face. KOKO's eyes become sharper after seeing that. I see. So this is the way the old mouse gives his gratitude for saving him. No, I knew from the start. He did cooperate with us enough. KOKO spoke bitterly to himself. Issei, Azazel, and Kiba watched the entire exchange but didn't make any move to intercept them. They knew that they were in a bit of a pickle right now, and picking unnecessary fights would be a counterproductive to their survival. They had badly injured party, and they needed to get back to civilization. The news of Hades sending his Grim Reapers did nothing but anger Issei and Azazel. It seemed that the god of the dead was playing with his hand far too much to their liking. The news about the supposedly deflect old Mao faction was also a bit alarming. They would allow KOKO to escape though, as it would allow them to focus on their plans without worry. Suddenly, a magic circle up beneath Gregoric before he disappeared. Agorg went outside the hotel. He was preparing for swapping transportation circles between me and Siegfried. KOKO announced casually. It seemed that Gregoric was able to replace the technique used by Kuroko and Lefay. Very well, let's play a game. The Volley team and Gremory team, soon as the group of Grim Reapers will be coming here on Hades orders to retrieve the weakened Orphis. I will also have Siegfried from my team participate in it as well. The key point of this game is whether all of you can get out of here safely. We won't know what will happen when Hades captures that Orphis. Now, can you get out of here while protecting Orphis with your lives? Please challenge it. I want the two heavenly dragons to survive, but I have no intention of enforcing it to the Grim Reapers in my command. I think that it's more suitable to fight those who overcome a crisis. KOKO finished as unusual, superior smirk on his face. It seemed he was in the back of his regular mood after regaining a little control of the situation. Issei had to resist the urge to roll his eyes at this asshole annoying mannerisms. Medusa's eye. They heard KOKO call out. His right eye glowed purple. Suddenly, Azazel tripped a little and seemed disoriented. They looked down to see Azazel's leg slowly turning to stone. A little parting gift, as well as the insurance to make sure that you don't chase after me. Enjoy the game, the wannabe hero said before vanishing in a magic circle. And that is where we're going to be stopping for now. Yes, I did just take a sip of water, so stay mad. But I apologize for the cliffhanger once again. But I also don't apologize for it, so get screwed. But I'm finally back on the grind. I'm going to try to upload at least daily to support the homies. I'm going to try some new things, obviously, as well. I was thinking about doing some shorts where I explain the HighSchool DxD lore or just about anime lore in general, like explaining the boosted gear and what exactly the abilities of it are, just because that would be fun for me and to do it in a little short. Now, obviously, I got to learn how to edit better to be able to do those things. But yes, and a lot of people have ever asked me, what if Issei had Ultra Instinct? Where the hell is that? I apologize. I got caught up in women. So, everyone take a sip of water with me. Women. So, basically, yeah, that was going on. But, don't worry. I am alone. So, we are now focused back up and your boy's back on the grind. I'm going to be training very hard this semester because I'm out for the grind. I want revenge. No, I'm just kidding. But remember, ladies and gentlemen, revenge is never the way. But, alright. So, basically, yeah, I'm officially returned. So once again, thank you to all my balance breakers. Go subscribe to my second channel, Popowski and FollowXDXD, down in the description below. I really would appreciate that. Now, what is exactly going on with this channel at this point? I know I don't upload as frequently as I used to, but now, finally when I'm actually on break, which is the 13th of December, the day I can actually record something is when I recorded something, so you're welcome for that. And don't worry, I'm going to try to daily upload. I'm going to try to really get back into it. I'm going to be training, uploading on 2 channels, and just be grinding my ass off. So it's going to be like, it's going to be hard for me, but it's also going to be fun. It's about time I get spring back into action. Your boy gets to take his cold. I'm going to root back into the cold showers, and I'm going to be running a lot and also lifting, as you can tell by my appearance. But I just wanted to thank everybody for the support. I really cannot appreciate you enough. We have 31,600 subscribers currently, 40,000 on Anpopowski, and 1,700 on FallenDXD, and 27,000 on TikTok. As soon as we reach 42,000 subscribers on Anpopowski or get 32,000 subscribers on Spartanic, I will be at 100,000 followers across all platforms, which is crazy. And a lot of people keep asking me to create a Discord server, which might be a possibility in the future. But for right now, it's a no because I cannot control it myself. So, yeah. I hope everyone is going to have a good Christmas and a good Christmas break. But without further ado, Spartanic Arts DXD out.